Okay, 11th of January, Thursday, 2024. So, debt. Debt. Using debt and having a healthy, note the word healthy understanding and use of debt. Because you see, there's a common misconception that people would use debt to buy things that they want, or consumer goods, we'll call it in finance economics. Things we consume, TVs, books, phones, for example. Now, nothing inherently wrong with this. Now, really, for the banks, this is really, really good business. Lend money to people so they buy toys and then they have to pay back plus interest. For the bank, that's a good deal. But to have a healthy view and understanding of finance, that's really not a good deal at all. A more smarter approach, and again, you're an adult, make up your own mind, make your own decisions, okay? A much healthier and smarter approach to using debt is to borrow the money and invest it in something or build something with it or do something with it that gives you more money back than the amount of interest you have to pay. This in finance is what we call the hurdle rate, the minimum amount of money needed, often expressed as a percentage, to make it viable, to make it work. If I borrow 10 million here, and I have to repay, say, 11 million, can I find a way to make more than 1 million over here? Yes, no, maybe, depends. That is a much more smarter and healthier way of looking at debt, because now you're using debt to build something productive and doing something productive with it, building something that wasn't there before in the past, a business, for example, or a factory, quite literally, or in terms of advertising, to grow a business that wasn't there already, that you can then use to pay off that debt. The interest payment has to come from somewhere. So if you're borrowing money to buy stuff, toys, gadgets, doodads, the interest comes from your pocket. You have to pay it. Your work, your hours, your time, your life. But if it's coming from a business that admittedly you've got to build, or from investment that you have to work on, then technically, in some reductionist way, someone else is paying that interest for you, yes. But when the debt's all cleared, when it's been serviced and paid off, you now have an asset, a business, for example, that is grown, that runs by itself, that makes money. So suddenly we're using debt as a way to build something to create more money in the future, as opposed to buying something to consume. Interesting. This is what in finance is called consumer debt. We're borrowing stuff, as I said earlier, we're borrowing stuff to enjoy. We're borrowing money to buy consumer goods. Phones, for example, go on a cruise or holiday, things like that. Not productive assets. Now, what kind of things over here are there to build and to buy? So you could say property investing. Oh, it's an idea. Complicated, by all means. Building a business. Very nice. Countless businesses out there. Very nice. Takes time. Fair enough. Skill, like everything else, needs skill. There are some real clever ways and real clever things you could do with, say, stocks and shares, with buying certain kinds for the dividend. Now, again, you're an adult. You decide what to do, but understand, in the grand scheme of things, it's your risk. Okay, whatever. You're responsible. Be responsible. Be an adult. Be the responsible one, okay? But I'm just sharing ideas and expanding your understanding of the world, that debt is not a bad thing. Debt's useful. It's a powerful tool. Like fire, can be used for you or against you. Powerful. So dividends, for example, that's one idea among countless others. Buy certain assets that appreciate in capital and pay it back at a later date. Ooh, that's a very interesting idea. But with debt, there's a few other things to consider. Before you take out that debt, you have to have a plan, a strategy, an idea, how to service the debt. Basically, how you're going to make the minimum payments per month, per week, per year. Exactly. That's the first thing to consider. How are you going to pay it back? And that leads into the second question is, what are you going to do with the money? Because there's no point in borrowing, say, £10 million. You've got a way to pay it back, let's say through the job, but you don't know what to spend the money on. Now, you don't have to do anything with the money. You could leave it in the bank. By all means, do nothing with it. Because remember, sometimes in life, or understand, sometimes in life, doing nothing is a viable strategy as well. Okay, think this through. Think steps ahead. You've got the £10 million. What are you going to do with it? Well, this, that, your choice. So worth considering those things before taking out debt. How are you going to pay it? Because the bank wants to get paid every month. And at the same time, what are you going to spend the money on? Important factors. And if you're really clever, there are ways to actually borrow money for free. Ooh, interesting. This is what's called, and again, you're an adult, have some prudence, okay? Be smart, okay? Don't sign any old document and contract that gets pushed in front of you. Be clever. There are ways to get credit cards at 0% interest. Interesting. And then you can be even more clever, and you can get credit cards that are money transfer. Interesting. What's that? Well, maybe another lesson. But yeah, you look into that. Money transfer is 0%. Ooh, interesting. Again, you're an adult. Don't listen to me. Pay attention out there. Okay? You can do what you want as long as you're prepared to face the consequences. And that's a topic for another video that I really want to record. But the more you understand about the world in terms of finance and money and borrowing and credit markets, the easier you'll be able to access money that's free, basically free. There are ways to get free credit cards. Now, you might say, sounds too good to be true. Well, it is. There are ways, and I've done it. Fair enough. Yeah, but there's alternatives out there. And then you could say, you take out the money at 0%. They still want the money back. It could be in 6 months, but they still want it back. Even if it's 0%, we need a way how to pay it back. And you've got this cash, 0%. What are you going to do with it? Again, you can do nothing, but if you're going to do nothing with the money, was it worth taking out the money in the first place? Now, there are some nuances to that in terms of credit score. By all means, there's always different angles to approach and to think about these things, but it's worth considering. Basically, you're thinking steps ahead. You know, if I do this, it's game theory. If I do this, what happens here? This whole series of decisions and events. How does that affect me? Yeah, so countless things. So debt. It's worth understanding how to use it and what it is. Because to understand that debt is leverage, really, doing more with less, using other people's money, OPM. You have to know what you're going to do with it and how you're going to pay it back. And understand that money, debt is like fire. It can be used to build and create things, I say, or cook food, even like a furnace, build things with it, or destroy things. It can either be used for your advantage or to your detriment. Powerful, very important. And also at the same time, use it to build and create productive assets, not to consume things. This is how people get trapped in credit card debt. They have mountains and mountains of credit card debt because they use the money to buy toys, buy trinkets and doodads, not being productive with it, not building things with it, building things that later on could pay down that debt, clear the debt, and provide a better lifestyle, better standard of living and income for the people. Okay, fine. We're all adults. Do what you want. Make your own decisions. But it's worth understanding. It's worth understanding debt and how the world works. More nuanced approaches and more technical ways to use debt. So it's a powerful tool. Yeah. So otherwise, you will see me tomorrow.